In fact, now several episodes that happened on the border, were provoked on the border, have affected the whole beautiful picture of what happened at the beginning of the war. And we do believe that between Poland and Ukraine, there is a very powerful platform for solving problems, for discussing issues that arise. Therefore, our messages, primarily to the media outlets, please outline, show what is really happening.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center, an NGO Euro-Atlantic Course, and I'm your host, Miroslava Yaremkiev. From the beginning of the border blockade, Polish businesses operating in Ukraine began to lose profits. This applies primarily to construction companies and dairy producers. According to the National Agricultural Support Center of Poland, last year Ukraine became the second largest recipient of Polish products among non-EU countries, after Great Britain. Revenues from the export of agri-food products to the Ukrainian market exceeded 1 billion euros, which was 9% more than in 2022. In today's episode, we're going to talk about losses incurred by Polish companies from the border blockade with Ukraine by Polish farmers. We will also discuss the need for strategic cooperation between our two governments in overcoming these issues. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Agnieszka Maliszewska from the Polish Dairy Chamber spoke about losses for Polish milk producers. According to her, only Ukrainian companies agree to bring Polish dairy products. Logistics costs have increased significantly as drivers are forced to go through Slovakia and Hungary to reduce route times. Chairman of the Council of the International Association of Polish Entrepreneurs in Ukraine, Szymon Waszczyn, notes the growing concern over the development of events that have a negative impact on the trade exchange between Poland and Ukraine. Let's hear what he has to say.
This issue should be considered in two ways. First, those losses that have already been incurred within 4 months are direct losses of undelivered goods, or losses in earnings, or losses of current contracts, in fact. There is no definite figure here. It's tens of millions of dollars during those 4 months, I'm sure. I rely on the statement of the European Business Association. They say that it's about 700,000 for each of the 44 companies they survey. This is the European Business Association. The second issue of Polish companies' losses is a patterned losses. That is the fact that we are now under-delivering goods and are actually dropping out of tenders, cannot fulfill our contracts, contractual obligations. We are also subject to conditional penalties, that is punishments, fines that arise from the under-delivered goods in accordance with contracts. This is especially true in the construction sector, but not only. It's absolutely all trade relations. The second issue is also the fact that our counterparties, our partners, ask whether you will remain in the Ukrainian market, whether you will continue to supply goods, or whether we need to change partners to other manufacturers that are safer, that can ensure regular deliveries of goods. That is, in fact, these are losses that have already happened and losses that will happen even after the protests at the border stop. A very positive picture that was created in the early days of the war was the help of the Polish people for Ukrainian families. Millions of people who either stopped or moved on through Polish families and further to Europe. It is now, for it was an extraordinary event what happened. We will be reading about it in textbooks for years to come. In fact, now several episodes that happened on the border, were provoked on the border, have affected the whole beautiful picture of what happened at the beginning of the war. In fact, we have failed in the eyes of Ukrainian society as a state that is Ukraine's advocate in the European arena. I hope we'll be able to very quickly regain that strategic cooperation and strategic understanding that our societies are destined to be together. It is extremely important for every Ukrainian and every Pole to deeply understand this message, this idea. We have no other choice but to be close, especially in a strategic partnership that concerns the defense of both states.
Polish businessmen emphasize that the losses they suffered as a result of Russian aggression are now being exacerbated by the blocking of communication routes. As a result, Polish business loses trust in the eyes of Ukrainian counterparties. Deliveries of goods from Poland, including food products, are delayed, which leads to non-fulfillment of previously concluded contracts. In turn, the violation of the terms of delivery of construction materials in many cases complicates the elimination of war damage in Ukraine, which is often implemented with the participation of Polish support. Dariusz Górczyński, member of the Council of the International Society of Polish Entrepreneurs in Ukraine, expresses hope for the meeting between the ministers of agriculture of Poland and Ukraine. Please take a listen.
We hope that next week's meeting between the ministers of agriculture of Poland and Ukraine will also contribute to solving the problems are related to the situation of Polish farmers. And it will also help the Ukrainian side to understand the situation in which the representatives of the Polish government find themselves at this difficult time. Of course, all these meetings are preparations for the intergovernmental consultations scheduled for March 28th in Warsaw. We hope that, as was stated at the Intergovernmental Commission in Lviv, that joint solutions will indeed have been worked out by this time, and they will help resolve the issues that concern the business community as well as the societies of our two countries. What is very important is that we actually see the problems that are emerging now more broadly. In fact, the source of these problems is, of course, the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine. Also, these problems somehow arose in connection with the decisions of the European Commission on the liberalization of trade with Ukraine. But it must be understood that if Ukraine is going to join the EU, if it is a candidate for the EU, as we noted in our statement, the resolution of these problems at the level of Poland-Ukraine relations also contributes to the progress and will contribute to the progress of negotiations, which will hopefully soon begin between Ukraine and the European Union on future membership. I think this is also a preparation for solving other problems that will arise in other sectors. This is the process that Poland went through more than 20 years ago. We are ready. This was also discussed at the Intergovernmental Commission to share this experience at the level of governments, but we, as entrepreneurs working in Ukraine, are also ready to share our consulting experience with Polish and Ukrainian government officials. And we do believe that between Poland and Ukraine, there is a very powerful platform for solving problems, for discussing issues that arise, and we also believe that this platform will not only be about solving problems, but will also create a platform for new projects that we will jointly implement in the future. It is very important that we do not focus only on problems, but also look ahead and look strategically at our relations. We especially feel this as companies that have been working in Ukraine for many years, for decades, and we see that the sooner we can implement some solutions, some innovations, the more success we can achieve together in the future.
Representatives of Polish businesses in Ukraine call on representatives of journalistic and expert circles in Poland and Ukraine to provide reliable information about the situation at the border and bilateral economic cooperation. Relying on emotional and irresponsible comments in the media does not foster understanding and misleads public opinion in both countries. Member of the Council of the International Society of Polish Entrepreneurs in Ukraine and head of the sales department of the Aluproof company, Tsyhaniuk, will elaborate more.
I live in Ukraine and often visit Poland, and I can observe that the attitude of Poles towards Ukrainians has not changed in general. We only see some trouble, one might say, on the border. This, unfortunately, is very much candy for the mass media, and they present it from different angles, not always considered. Therefore, our messages, primarily to the media outlets, please outline, show what is really happening, why the situation at the border arose, and what caused it, in order not to heat up this interethnic difference. Because Polish and Ukrainian cultures always went side by side and always had both good achievements and some black spots. And it is necessary to focus on our good deeds that were done together. That's all I can say, because although we will survive economically, we will manage somehow in terms of image. We have to save our face, as the Japanese say. Therefore, I believe that the mass media should show the true situation from both sides, why this problem arose among Polish farmers, and this should be conveyed to the Ukrainians so that they are reassured that it will be resolved. It will be resolved as soon as possible.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!